Hello and welcome, everyone. We are live after the final siren of round 11 to recap all the action. I am your host and AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Tim Guest, and you can find me on socials at Tim Guest AU. Now, for those listening on the pod, it's Sunday, the 26th of May. Come join us next time on YouTube or X and get your questions answered live. And thanks to those who've already sent in their questions. And of course, if you want a question answered, simply comment on the platform that you're watching. Now, joining me as always is my co-host, it's Bails, DT. Bails, how was round 11 for you, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. End up going okay.
Come on, mate. I think you're keeping a lid on it. You must be pretty happy.
Oh, I'm happy. I think that the one thing that annoys me, and I'm that sort of fantasy coach that even when I'm going well, I'll still nitpick.
You can't be happy.
I think it's annoying. Is that with the whole Max Gawn fitness test? I'll speak about that obviously with what I did, but I changed the captaincy off of him. Knowing with that fitness test, and of course he goes 152. So, and then my captain scored a little bit less, but still solid captain score. But all in all, not too bad. How was your weekend, Tim?
Mate, my weekend was not too bad. I kind of feel like it was a bit of an average week for me in terms of how it all landed for my team. Sam Flanders out saw me. I mean, I initially had the E on Harley Reid, but then I missed Joe Richards in terms of that 94 onto that red dot. And then just, had some kind of poor performers and underperformers. So, yeah, got beaten in the Content Creators Cup by the Warn Dog and slid about 1,300 spots or something along those lines. So it's just not going well for me this year.
Yeah. It's been tough year for some coaches, that's for sure.
Oh, well, still got plenty of time to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, well, look, it's just you and me on the pod tonight. No, we had a cancellation with one of our guests, but no dramas. We'll just get stuck into it for ourselves, mate. So why don't you kick us off? Let us know your score. Let us know your round rank and how you're sitting overall.
Yeah, so round score of 22.76, which was 15.25 for the week. And rose me, what's that, about 200, just over 200 spots up to 435th overall. So finally good to be inside the top 500 for the year. And probably a good time as well with the buys just around the corner. So we'll obviously stay next week. So, but yeah, obviously the one disappointment, I alluded to it before, but took the captaincy off of Gawn and put it on Jordan Dawson, who at quarter time I was thinking was pretty good, but he's his second and third quarter, a bit quiet. Finished off the good last quarter, put up a 120, which was solid, but could have been a tiny bit more. But as I said, I'm that coach that even when it does seem to be going well, I'll still nitpick with little things as well. How'd you go with your score and rank in round 11?
Like I said, pretty disappointing week. So 2107 for me, round rank of about 27,500, and then I slid from about 4,700 to 6,179. So what's that? About just under 6,200. So yeah, like I said, about 1,500 spots I've slid. I had some pretty good scores in my team, but it just didn't come together. Didn't get a decent captain score. And then, of course, I had bloody Ollie Dempsey's 43 end up going on field as well, which was a bit of a stinky score. But my trade-ins went pretty well. I was pretty happy with Zach Fisher at 112 and Alex Sexton. I thought Fisher did a lot better than what I thought he was going to do, and happy with Sexton. So look, once again, I don't feel too dissatisfied with my side. Like I've got, probably Sam Claheisi and a Zach Williams go this week or something along those lines. So I bring in another primo, but yeah, onwards we go, mate. Onwards we go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
All right, mate. Why don't we do +3, -3? Kick us off.
Yep. So +3, -3. I'll give the +3 to Luke Ryan. I didn't properly give it to him on the pod last week, but all in all, that move from Sheasel to Ryan has proved to be pretty good. Obviously, Sheasel's put up back-to-back hundreds, but I've got a 126 and a 144 from Luke Ryan. So what's that, an average of like 135 or something like that over the 2 weeks? I was kicking myself. I didn't VC him on Friday night. It was between him, Sarong, and Dacos. Of course, I went Sarong out of the three, the lowest scoring one, but that's all right. But yeah, he gets +3 for me. And it's probably going to be a bit harder for coaches to obtain now because he's going to be over, I think he's going to be like 970, potentially somewhere around there. So maybe a little bit less, but he's going to be expensive. So yeah, good to have that as a bit of a unique. And -3, I'll probably actually, yeah, yeah. Jack McRae. Oh, far out. That was a watch on Thursday night, to say the least. You got 55. Who knows if it's going to be updated to? I don't know if you've seen Tim. It's been all over social on the weekend. It's Bont. That was the free kick against Bont, not against Jack McRae, and it's like 58 or 55. I don't know what he scored. It was still shit regardless. So not happy. And I'm very, very tempted to be moving him on this week, even when he's going to be playing. So yeah, not great from him. But yeah. So how about yours, Tim? Plus or minus 3?
Yeah, well, I think I'll stick with Zach Fisher for my +3. I mean, traded him in, had a tough matchup for him to go 112. I think that's on. Well,
Yeah,
I was
big.
about to say on debut, but it wasn't on debut. He's come back into the side, so
Re-debut.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, and there, wasn't too many. I mean, Dacos was my highest scorer at a 133. It was good to get Sammy Walsh, good scores out of Sammy Walsh and Jack Steele, and another ton from Jeremy Sharp. I'm sure coaches that have still got him are pretty happy. But yeah, on the other side of things, look, once again, just some poor performances in my midfield. 86 from Zach Butters, 98 from Matt Crouch, 91 from Tom Green, 85 from Clayton Oliver. So that's just stinky midfield scores. But they all dodge my -3, and I'm going to give it to Jordan Sweet. That's just it is. I reckon this has actually been one of my worst years in fantasy for a very long time, and of course, all off my own decisions, right? So not probably not having gone to begin with. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest mistakes I made for the year. But this Jordan Sweet kind of trade just hasn't worked out for me at all. We brought him in. He had a good score. He missed a week. He missed another week.
Jordan Sweet
up to 66.
I think Jordan Sweet is it's almost like a double whammy, because didn't you, with the trade when you brought Sweet,
was
that Grundy out and he went big that week, and then bloody
that's right. Yeah, I did. I traded out Grundy when he was at a 134 for Sweet. And then I traded out Tristan Sherry, and what did he get? You got a 126. What was it, or something like that this week?
Yeah, 120. Yeah, it was a good move. I would have done this. I would have done the same thing. So
yeah. Look, I mean, they're all trades that made sense. I feel like they were the right moves, but they just don't end up going away. So that's been my year. But like I said, still a long time to go, and who knows? Like, I mean, maybe I can still push into the top 1,000 from here or something.
Yeah,
like that. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's turn our attention to the Content Creators Cup, mate. Why don't we just start off while we're giving us some results, mate? So, who are you up against this week?
Up against Sanch this week. So, he did say I'd win the wooden spoon at the start of the year. So it was good to get the win over Sanch. Yeah, very, very happy, and continues the win streak. I don't know if I'm 5-0 my last 5, but now 9-2. So sort of stretching ahead of that chasing pack behind, which is good. But I still cannot catch Mitch. Far out. Like, we'll talk about him in a sec once we get to your matchup. But far out. Yeah. How obviously you said you lost this week. I think you said.
Yeah, up against the Warm Dog, lost by about 38 points or something along those lines. So if I'd got my emergencies right, I probably could have won. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm just sliding further down the ladder now. Look, the only thing I really probably want to shout out here is Mitch, right? So Mitch had the highest score for the week, had a 23.59. Bails, I think you were second, weren't you, for the week? I think you had the second highest score in the cup. So you once again just going, continuing to go really, really well. But Mitch has now moved. Hang on. Oh no, maybe that's not the case. What is going on? Last time I clicked on Mitch, it showed him as an overall ranking of 33, and now I've just clicked on him. Okay. Now, it is. Yeah. Overall, sorry, it showed 435, which is yours, isn't it? Right. But anyway,
that's mine. I'm up to second now in the overall ranking as well, which is nice.
Yeah. So just something glitching with the website there, but yeah, Mitch fucking Casey, overall ranking 33, mate. So he's had a massive week.
Story behind that, because we're obviously in just like a group chat with Luke and Mitch, just sort of to coordinate podcasts and stuff. And I messaged the group chat saying, Gorn fitness test pre-game. Like Mitch, I saw you had him captain. I'm moving off, and I know Luke had him captain as well. And of course, Mitch says after, I missed it. Hopefully he can go well enough anyway. And then gets top scoring for the round. I'm like, and people say Mitch kissed because he got the 94 of Richards as well for Flanders.
Yeah.
But hey, when you've got the luck, ride it as long as you can.
When you're seeing them like beach balls, you're seeing them like beach balls. So just ride
exactly. So no, he's going very, very nicely.
All right. Well, just a quick wrap up of the AFL Content Creators Cup, proudly brought to you by Infinite Wealth. Make smarter financial decisions where winning coaches will get $5,000 for their favourite charity. And just a reminder, there's a bunch of free gifts valued at almost $3,000 available for every AFL fantasy coach. Get across to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL fantasy to claim your free financial freedom masterclass and a huge stack of tools and resources to help you make smarter financial decisions. So if you have a mortgage, I can teach you how to pay it off up to 3 times faster without paying a single cent extra. If you're paying too much tax, I can teach you how to save thousands each year. And if you're someone who's committed to building their wealth, and I can show you how I bought 13 properties by the age of 27. So just head to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL fantasy to claim. And for more details, and look, I do actually have, I've scheduled some events coming up in the next couple of months. So if you did want to get along to one of our events, make sure you get along to that link and just register in there so that when we release details, you'll be updated about them. But let's get stuck into the games, mate. So let's kick it off with the first game of the round. Western Bulldogs defeated by Sydney by 14 points in front of 27,000 people at Marvel Stadium. James O'Donnell was a late change out of the side with illness and was replaced with Riley Sanders. So some coaches would have been pretty happy. I know I was seeing that red dot turn to, well, I guess it was pink, right? Because it was the sub. Riley Sanders, he started as a sub and then was subbed on early in the first quarter after Anthony Scott got that head knock. And then Matt Roberts was the sub for Sydney and he replaced Aaron Francis in the final quarter. So injuries out of this game. So like I said, Anthony Scott had the head clash. Aaron Norton has done a moderate grade medial ligament injury, which should see him out for around about 4 to 6 weeks. And then Ed Richards got that head knock as well.
Yeah, and that with that Norton one, I know he's at 4 to 6 weeks, but that's a great result because I thought that was an ACL watching that. So it's good. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks, which is bad, but it's good that he's not out for a year. So that'll be good for the Dogs. But Brody Grundy and Errol Goulden both top scored in the game with 119 points there. Chad Warner, he's a very, very good player, and he got a 115. Bailey Dale 103, which we thought was going to be a bit of a danger game with him for the James Jordan tab, but Jordan went from Bailey Dale and then he went to Ed Richards, then Ed Richards got injured, then he went to Treloar. So James Jordan was just tagging everyone. So, Dale 103, owners be stoked that they got a ton when they thought they might have got a bad score. Heaney got 100, good score for Heaney there again. The Bont, he got 101 or 98. I don't know if Fantasy are going to adjust it. It says on the app that he got 98, so I'll go with 98 there.
They won't, Bale. So just on that, there is a term or condition that says even if there's a late adjustment, there's a point at which they like lock in the scores for the game, and once they're locked in, they're locked in.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because that one was done like overnight, and it was done next day. So so Bont got 101/98. So ticked over the 100. Again, I still don't get why Bevo put him forward in the last quarter when they wanted to try and win the game, but it is what it is. That's Bevo for you. Riley Sanders got 70, so owners that held him, and we're pretty happy with that, obviously came in very, very early into the game. Ed Richards, 66. That does suck for those coaches that did have him because he was going along very, very well. He's been a great pick. And then Joel Frazier got a 64. He'll probably be a pretty popular downgrade target this week, I'd imagine. I think he's got decent job security in the short term over the buys. But Tim English, 91 again. We did see, obviously, Gawn went big, but then we saw Marshall, who we'll speak about before, he struggled big time against Gawn. And then English got 91. Are you still seeing, is it Gawn and Marshall as the top two for you? Do you see English being ahead of one of those two?
The last thing you should be asking me about is the ruck position. I cannot make heads or tails of it. I can't see it. I got no idea. So, I mean, Jesus,
what have you made
this week?
Yeah, well, because he's breaking 155, so he's actually not going to drop all that much, Gawn. But what did you make of English on Thursday night? And is he someone that you are still keeping up? Well, you brought him in, didn't you? So,
I brought him in a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, not this week. Yeah. Well, look, I actually wanted to ask you, Bales, because like I said, I feel like I really can't see this ruck position. So yeah, what did you see of Timmy English's game?
He's been good. He's been solid, but I think Jaden made a good point on the coaches panel last week and saying that it's actually his stoppage points that are down. He's not getting the same stoppage points that he was last year. So he's relying a lot on getting the ball from like transition and getting the short +6s from the kickouts and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's going to sort of take an uptick. Maybe when Libba comes back. When Libba's back, I think that'll sort of cause there'll be more stoppages because Libba's such a contested player. Bulldogs might try and get back to more contested footy. So maybe they get more stoppages. Maybe that sees an increase in his stoppage points. But I don't know. It just seems like that ceiling that he had last year isn't quite there at the moment. I know he had that patch of 3 weeks, like a few weeks ago, where he went 120 plus in most of those games, but he's not getting those 150s that we saw last year and those 140s. He's going 120, 130 at the games that he goes well, and that's when his stoppage points are up. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like moving forward for him.
So who do you see as the top 2 rucks at the moment?
I've still got Marshall Gawn. I know Marshall had a bad one, and we'll speak about that later on. But I've still got Marshall and Gawn as the top 2 for me. I think English is third. He's close, but I've still got those other 2, I reckon. So, and then the last one I want to talk about, Jack Macrae. Obviously, people have got buys start this week, so that's what we're going to have to be looking at. But with 3 trades, is there a world where you could just get rid of Jack Macrae this week and jump off of him if you've got, say, you've already got 21 or 22 players? Would you be happy to jump off Jack Macrae?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, we are leading into the buys, so it is a bit of a nothing week with trade. So it is maybe a week where you could jump off, but it's normal. My gut instinct is to say no and to wait till he's buy. But being that we've got the round 12, we got the 3 trades, but we don't really have, people that you specifically wanting to be trading in this week, because obviously everyone's still got a buy to come. So maybe you could use that as an opportunity to fix up some stuff and get off of Jack Macrae. But I still kind of tend to lean towards. He's been pretty stinky, hasn't he?
He had that one score of the 90 the week that we got him in, and he's only had, I think, one score over 80 or something since then. Like the scores he got that 129 that he had against St Kilda.
So he had a 129, a 90, a 66, an 88, a 72, and a 55 against the Swannies, which are a tough matchup. It's
just the way he looks as well. It's not even just the score. It's just, I know that we've all said this, but he looks slow. I just don't know. I really don't know. I want to trade him.
I don't think you do. I think you focus on making your team better.
Yeah.
And funny enough, speaking of buys.
Yeah, fun enough. Speaking of that, Lockout has actually lifted while we're live as well. And looking at it now, Bont is down to 98 now, and Macrae's up to 58. So that adjustment has been made, and it saw me move up one spot in the over rankings. So I'm up to 434. So I'll take that. I didn't think I wasn't sure they would update it, but they did. So I guess Bont owners will be unhappy. Macrae owners will be happy in a way. They get an extra 3 points. So beautiful. Alrighty, we'll move on to Friday night.
Oh God, I wasn't ready. I was looking at the AFL Fantasy site. Quickly. All right, Friday night. A draw between Fremantle and Collingwood at Optus Stadium in front of 54,000 people. The subs were Corey Wagner, who replaced Josh Draper in the third quarter, and Will Parker for Collingwood, who replaced Mason Cox in the third quarter. And that's because Mason Cox was concussed. He also did a bit of an injury to his leg a bit earlier, and then was subbed out of the game. And then Maya Check was also taken off with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, that looked really bad, that one, that Mason Cox one. It sort of leg got trapped underneath. So Nick Dacos just doing what he does, 133. He's been, I'm glad, I know that people said, are you still happy with the Goldie move and bringing him in? I'm actually still happy because I got Dacos and he's got a 131, a 115 and a 133 the 3 weeks I've had him. So cannot complain whatsoever with that. It's been fantastic. Jordan Clark, back-to-back big scores, 128 as well. So owners be happy that he's making up for those lack of hundreds, I guess, in the 90s. Is now with a couple of big scores back-to-back there. Andrew Brayshaw got a 109 as well. I think had a tackle added as well after the game there. Jack Crisp, 105, still a solid option. Played midfield again, was solid. Could be a bit of a cheaper option that you look at. Caleb Sarong got to the ton in the end with a 101. Hayden Young, 94 as well. And then Luke Jackson was a bit poor with a 67 with Darcy back into the side. But Tim, Luke Ryan, obviously I mentioned before with a 144. I guess this is a hard week, round 12 with obviously all the buys to come. But is Luke Ryan, I think Luke Ryan's probably in the same boat as a Zorko and a Marshall, where he's as a pod player. And because he's got the buy, we're only free on Port, have got the buy. If you don't have many players in that buy, would you be happy to pay up for Luke Ryan, who's averaging 110?
No, I don't think I would. I just think he's a bit overpriced now. Well, maybe not overpriced. I think he's fully priced. I mean, $973,000. I mean, you got a Jack Sinclair as well that you could probably get for. How did he go this week? I'm not even sure.
He got 98. So he was pretty solid again. Back-to-back weeks, he's been solid after that 50-odd that he got when most people brought him in. So he's been solid back-to-back.
Yeah. Look, I think he's been a great pick. I mean, as an example, I know you brought him in. I know there's plenty of coaches out there that were looking to bring him in for his buy and stuff like that. And I think he's been a great shout. Had a couple of really good matchups. But I'm starting to lean towards him being fully priced. What were you saying? He's priced at 110? Would he be? He'd be priced at about 110. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like
yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I don't know that you want to be bringing him in.
Yeah, cool. Well, I hope no one does, and I can have him as a pod. Because I had a look, I'm the only person in Content Creators Cup that's got Luke Ryan as well.
Considering
so
you've got him,
nice
would you recommend coaches bring him in?
I think so, just because I put him in the same boat as a Marshall and a Zork. I know both of those two had poorer weeks this week, but they're the guys that are putting up these big ceiling scores, the VC options every week, and the fact that Luke Ryan's got Melbourne, who can give up points. Didn't give up as many to St Kilda this week, but then they got the good buy that you can bring people in this week. So if you're looking for an upgrade, and then they've got the Bulldogs at Marvel post their buy, and they run up until round like 20 is great. They've got like Gold Coast, Sydney, bit tougher, but then Richmond, Hawthorn, Melbourne, and then West Coast, and then they have a tricky last 4 weeks. But I don't know. He just seems like he reminds me very much of Jake Lloyd from a few years ago. Just a seagull back there, just getting +6s for fun, taking kick-outs, getting everything. So I think if you've got the cash, but again, probably a bit of a team-dependent thing. Do you need that cash moving forward to upgrade yourself? If you're in a good position and you can start bringing in some of these big price players, I think you could potentially look at it. But yeah, it is. When you look at 973 for Luke Ryan, you're probably thinking maybe could I go someone else, because now Sheasel's cheaper than him now as well. So, just a couple last ones here as well. Was just one. Well, Jeremy Sharp got a 105. I didn't actually mention him. He's probably a whole potentially post his round 13 buy. He's been going that well. But Joe Richards, Tim, got a 94. Obviously, we both brought him in this week. But for those coaches that might not have brought him in and went for a Fraser, at 376 for Richards, -21 break even with the perfect rookie buy in round 15. Would you be happy to pay a premium for him to bring him in?
Oh, what about rookie stocks looking like? I don't know if you want to be paying up, but at the same time, you might need green dots through the buys, right?
And he's going to make a lot of cash.
Exactly. So I think it's not a bad shout, but just got to watch the cash because he's quite expensive now.
Yeah, like I'm looking here. If you've already got one of McAuliffe or Fraser, it's literally you just get the other one, and then you've got like a Joe Richards, because like McMullen, you probably don't trust with the Giants. They're on buy this week as well. So I think you probably could if you don't have him. But obviously it feels a bit dirty missing him after him going up so much this week. But he looks really good. He could be in their team post the buy when all their players, but he just gives them something different up forward with that speed. So yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Move on to Saturday.
All right. North defeated by Port Adelaide by 59 points in front of 4,705 people at Blundstone Arena. Wow, what a crowd. Subs there were Charlie Lazaro, who replaced Zane Dersma during the third quarter, and Lockie Jones, who replaced Willie Rioli at quarter time after he injured his calf.
Yeah, cool. Tristan Cherry, 120. I know a few coaches did that move this week, so that just, Luke, what'd you lose? What was it? 54 points from Jordan Sweet, who was very bad. Travis Boak. Now, I think DVPs will be coming. I think they're out this week. We're not going to get to him. Boak might get forward status. Could be a sneaky guy to look at, but I think there are probably better and safer options. But he's been solid. If you don't even draft, he's on the scrap heap. Pick him up. LDU 114. He's had a few good weeks now in a row. LDU there. Dan Houston got a 92, was solid. He's got a few games after his bye that are really nice, so you could look at him post his bye there. Zach Butters had a bit of a tougher day, 86. Got the Liam Shields tag there, so that's his lowest score for a bit, but he'll be fine. Jordan Sweat, obviously 66, struggled. Tom Powell wasn't anything too special with the 73. You probably just have to keep him with the forwards there. And then Connor Rosie, 43. I know he did his little bit of an ankle tweak in the first 10 seconds and essentially sat forward after quarter time. He had 5 CBAs in the first quarter, then he had 2 in the last 3 quarters. So he's going to be extremely cheap, but just a bit of a moment of silence in a way for those coaches that have held on to him. He's just continued to just drop poor scores and it's just not gone well. And normally we say if you miss a week, you hold, and then this is just one of those ones where it's been very, very frustrating. But Tim, Zach Fisher, 112, you brought him in this week. Obviously, he's on bye this week, but would he be one of the, I guess, probably top priorities that coaches should be looking to do if they don't have him in their side post his bye?
Yeah, certainly after his bye. I mean, he's 751 now. Certainly getting up there in terms of his price.
40 break even still.
Yeah, but if he keeps this kind of roll up, he's potentially top 6. So you probably want to jump if you haven't got him.
His 4 after the bye as well. West Coast, Collingwood, Melbourne Bulldogs. That's a pretty nice run for defenders in that month. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking at him post his bye. And then Harry Sheezel got a 106 as well, Tim. I don't know if you caught much this game, but what did you make of Sheezel? Because he had actually the most CBAs of any North Melbourne midfielder. So it was just a pure midfielder on the weekend. Yeah,
well, I was going to ask you about this one, mate, mainly because you're probably watching him a little bit closer than I was, considering you got off him. Yeah. So I was curious to see what you thought of his game.
He was pretty good in a tough matchup against Port as well, down at Blundstone, which can be a bit tricky with scores and stuff. I was pretty impressed with his score, 106. I'm still sort of happy I made that move with Luke Ryan and got him in, but I'll definitely be looking at Harry Sheezel to bring him back into my side post his bye. He's still got he's down to 940 now. He's got a break into 130. He's going to maybe drop a little bit more. So, I mentioned Fisher's run, same exact run for Sheezel. So he's been pretty good since he's and it seems like he's playing even more in the midfield. It will be interesting to see what happens when Simpkin is back in the side and McKercher, if he's back post the bye. Does that push Sheezel more forward? Does that push him more in the midfield? That's probably to be determined. So, but yeah, he was pretty good. So, pretty impressed with his score there. Perfect. We'll move on to the other Saturday game, which caused probably the biggest talking point of the week.
Yes. So Carlton defeated Gold Coast by 29 points in front of 39,000 people at Marvel Stadium. So the big news out of this game was a late change with Sam Flanders, our F1, being actually not F1. Sorry, Zorko's the F1, isn't he? Flanders is F2, being replaced in the side by Alex Davies after getting gastro.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big one. Yeah, so continue.
Yep, and then subs for Carlton, Jack Carroll replaced Matt Owies in the 4th quarter, and Jake Rogers replaced Jed Walter in the 3rd quarter. No injuries really to consider from this game.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that Flanders one. If you're probably feeling hard done by the Flanders one, he was in 100% the top 1,000. So every single coach was affected by it. It just depended who your emergency was, right? Exactly. I had Closey 68. So not too bad. I'll take that. I had Richards 94, played for Harley Reid on the weekend. So, but yeah, beautiful. So we'll go through some of the scores in this game. Sam Walsh 114 has been very impressive. Just has such a safe floor. I know last week he got a 68 against James Jordan. Remind us that he's gone over 100 in every game. He's got the ceiling as well. I think he is still a decent target post his round 14 bye there. Nick Newman, 95, just getting it done over the last month, been pretty solid there. Toot Miller, 71, just has not been that guy this year, unfortunately. Just hasn't gone over 110 this year, put up a few of these poorer scores. So if you do have him, he's probably a guy you might want to move on at round 14. Sam Closey, 68 was solid enough. And then Noah Anderson with the 67 as well. So it did seem like it was just a tough day for Gold Coast in terms of their midfield. But Tim, 2 forwards, Matt Kennedy, 91, and Alex Sexton, 81. If you didn't bring in either of those guys, Sexton probably been the one that a lot of us jumped on, but if you didn't jump on him and then you're looking at Kennedy, do you like both of those guys as options?
Yeah, I do. I think you'd probably want to lean towards Sexton just because he's 50 grand cheaper. And I probably feel a little bit more secure with his role security, I might say, as compared to Matt Kennedy. I mean, he's kind of been, he was sub, a few games back. I think I probably prefer Sexton's role and the fact that he's 50 grand cheaper.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Don't mind the Kenny pick, but it's probably a short-term play because when Chera's back, he can be sub, he can be forward, he might play back. We just don't know. And it's not like a Dawson situation where he can pretty much score wherever he is. It's one where he's got to have the role or he's not going to score very good. So, I would be looking at Sexton. That's it from that game. Not too much more from that one. So we'll move swiftly on to the next game. What a game this was.
Yeah. Geelong defeated by GWS by 4 points in front of 30,000 people at GMHBA. Substitutes with Jack Bowes, which replaced Toby Conway in the final quarter. I'm not sure if too many coaches had Toby Conway. Might have been a good shout there, but obviously disappointing with him being subbed off. And then for GWS, Toby McMullen was the sub who replaced Cogs after Cogs injured his shoulder in the second quarter. And the only other injury to note from this game was Perryman, who injured his left hammy. Actually, a couple of things to note from this game from the MRO. So those coaches that had Jai Clark, he's been rubbed out for one match for a high bump on Lockie Whitfield. And then if that wasn't good enough, Mark Blickharv's tried to line Lockie Whitfield up as well and got him with a high bump and has been rubbed out for a week as well.
Yeah, exactly. The Jai Clark one probably frustrating because they got Richmond this week. So that would have been maybe a rookie score that might have actually been half decent. So Max Holmes, 116. He's just been a great pick. He just gets it. He's just getting it done week after week. I think, is that like 4? I think I'm just having a look here. I think he might have like 4 tons on the trot now after not getting one in the. It reminds me a bit of Jordan Clark. Yeah, so 4 tons in a row was just a 90s guy. He went between 81 and 99 in the first 7 games of the season. But since then, 120, 101, 106, 116. Tim he's probably a guy that's he's not just knocking on the door. He's a top 6 defender in terms of average. So is he a guy that you might be considering in your box? I know you were a fan in preseason.
Yeah, look, he was someone I had my eye on in the preseason. But look, he didn't start. He started strong, but then kind of failed off, and then it's come back. So, look, I don't know. I mean, Geelong's always a bit tough of a side to pick players from, and I feel like we've just got too many stocks in that defensive line that he probably doesn't get a shout.
Yeah, and he missed the top 6 defenders by 2 points. Nasai Wangan-Miller, your mate, has got him by 2 points to be in the top 6. So, because Ridley, I'm not counting from one game. But yeah, Holmes has been great. Tom Green, 91, got the Blitzarves tag for most of that game. So I'm still a big fan of bringing him in post his bye. And if you've got him, obviously it's been frustrating last few weeks, but I think you'll be rewarded post the bye. I think we'll see some good scores then. Lockie Whitfield with a 90, been a bit sort of just been not the Whitfield we saw in the first month. He's sort of been a 90 to 95 guy with a couple of sort of poorer scores in there, but you're holding him. I can't see you trading him at his bye. Tom Stewart, 89 as well. A few people might have jumped off. He's got Richmond this week, might have a good score, but I was still a fan of trading him. And Ollie Dempsey with a 43. You probably keep him this week with Richmond because he's got his bye and you can trade him then. But Tim Grind-Myers, first poor score with a 65. I think that probably doesn't deter us away from picking him because Giants are a tough matchup. Is he someone you're going to be looking at in that forward line post he's round 14 by?
No, look, I think you've got to go the value options in the forward line. So your Fishers and your Sextons. And, I mean, Caldwell didn't go particularly well this week. But
74.
Look, he's been super consistent, pretty much scoring 90s all year, excluding this score, and he's priced at it. So, he's probably got a high break even now, probably going to drop a little bit of cash. So I wouldn't necessarily look at getting on just yet, maybe in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I meant. Post his round 14 buy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's not going to drop that much, is he?
Probably
Especially
not, but it might be
smashing out more 90s,
Yeah, it might be at a point, though, where a lot of coaches have got, I guess, all their rookies off their fields. They're probably looking at bringing in some top 6 in their line, top 8 in their line, so maybe, but...
I don't know. I find it hard to bring him in as a top 6,
Yeah, there's this... I still feel I've got this in the back of my mind that there's just a 40 waiting. I don't know why. He doesn't have a midfield role, high half forward. We've even seen Dylan Moores has dropped off the last few weeks. So I do get what you're saying.
Geelong have been getting, obviously they were doing very, very well at the beginning of the year, but I think they're starting to get exposed to the side now as well. So maybe we can't expect too much from them.
Yeah. Perfect. We'll move on to Dreamtime at the G.
All right, Richmond defeated by Essendon by 12 points in front of 80,000 people at Marvel Stadium. So subs are love.
MCG, that was my bad. Another typo.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Forgot to put
You can't
MCG.
fit 80,000 people in Marvel. That'd be a sight to see, wouldn't it? Subs for Richmond. Steely Green replaced Shai Bolton in the fourth term, and Elijah Sardis replaced Nick Cox in the third quarter. At quarter time, not the third quarter. Shai Bolton was concussed, so he'll be missing a week, and then of course Nick Cox did his hammy as well.
Yeah. Zach Merritt 109, Nick Martin 102. I think owners are probably like you take a ton. You're happy with 100, but they're probably still sitting there going, "Oh, I really want the 115, 120." Especially those people that put him captain. I had Merritt captain in like Bolter and a few other platforms as well. So a little bit under from what I probably would have wanted and what coach would have wanted. But 109 is fine, and 102 from Nick Martin as well. Jai Caldwell 74 was a bit quiet. Had sort of moments in the game where he might score 15, 20 points quickly, but then just went missing. Was on the bench again for big stints, which is obviously frustrating his owners. Liam Baker with a 72 as well. Jordan Ridley, Tim, top scored in this game with a 132. Now, if people remember, I think it would have been 2021. Over the first 10 weeks, he was I think he was the top scoring defender that year. Over the first 10 weeks, he was averaging over 110, just sort of being this general back in the Bombers lineup. But then last few years, he's had to play a key defensive role. But now it seems like they've got Laverty / if Zach Reed comes back, and then they've got a Ben Mackay there. Is Ridley any interest of you? He's cheap. He's under. I think he's around 750 odd K now. He would have gone up a tiny bit. Is there any interest from you for him, or because you've got Nick Martin, you're probably fine with that, and you're looking at other options?
I think it's something we've got to pay attention to. I think we probably want to see it at least one more week. I mean, maybe even a third week before you're kind of convinced about that role. But with the value, it's there. If he's got that role, we know what he can score like. So, and we know what halfbacks are scoring like this year. I mean, we haven't really said too much about it, but this is probably the first year that I can remember where defenders, as an average, are doing much better than midfielders.
Yeah, exactly.
As a group,
you've still got a couple of those mids that are up there, but yeah, when you look at it, it's the half back role. That's what you want. It's not more
as the scoring role. Yeah,
the traders said in the preseason, it's not more mid time. We want more half back time. That's sort of what it's looking like at the moment. So very, very interesting. So. Certainly someone I'll be keeping an eye on. Picked him up off the draft scrap heap as well in one of my drafts, so pretty happy with that there. And then Kane McAuliffe, Tim, you got your eyes on him this week as a downgrade. I thought he looked pretty good in this game. So got a -6 break even, I think it is. So, and Richmond, they had another couple of injuries, Bolton concussion. I think, unfortunately, I think it was Tyler Young did his ACL in the VFL. So it just keeps piling on, and they're just going to have to play these kids. So I think McAuliffe's good to his round 15 buy, so I'll be looking at him this week.
Me too.
Perfect.
And coming in for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. We will move on to Sunday.
Yeah, so as we turn our attention to the Sunday games, just a reminder, if you're joining us live on X or YouTube, let us know your questions by commenting on those platforms. So first Sunday game was Hawthorn defeating Brisbane by 25 points. Oh my God, how far the Lions have fallen this year in front of 29,000 people at Marvel Stadium. The subs for this game was Luke Bruce replaced Calshaw Deer in the fourth quarter, and then Harry Sharp replaced Brandon Ryan at three-quarter time. In this game, you may notice that Lloyd Meek was assessed for an ankle injury, but ended up returning to the game, so he should be fine.
Yeah. As well, a few people in the chat on the Friday were saying, a few Hawthorn fans were saying they were nervous for this game because Hawks are the Brisbane's bogey side, and it continued again with another win for the Hawks there. Carl Amon, 125. Tim, where were these scores for you at the start of the year?
Let's not talk about it, mate.
Unbelievable. Just he decides he puts up these good scores when no one owns him. So draft coaches are happy. Classic coaches are not happy. Kyle Lohman, 98. Just continues to impress. Really good player. Another solid score there. Josh Dunkley, bit unders, had a really good first half. I think he was on like near 60 at half time and just sort of went quiet in the second half there. Lloyd Meek got an 80, solid enough there, and Dylan Moore's been pretty quiet of late with a 69 again. So, but Will Day, Tim, 102. Probably I certainly didn't probably consider it as much as maybe I probably could have. 102 is he a guy that you might consider? He's got the round 15 buy. You could sort of ride that train until the buy. Is he someone you might be considering?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, last 3 rounds, he's had his time on ground back up to kind of full, where it should be kind of thing. And he's averaged just under 100 for that period of time. For a midfielder, what is he priced at? $738,000. I mean, with a closey not performing that well this week, maybe there'll be, people looking to get off him. Will Day might be a good shout as a bit of an upgrade in the midfield for those that are carrying that rookie there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Someone that you got to consider. And then Dane Zorko got an 80. So poor score from him there. Is that deterring you? Are you still looking at bringing him in post his bye?
Hell yes. Yeah, I'm looking at bringing him in straight after his bye.
Yeah. I've mentioned what last week and also on Friday. I'll mention it again. Dane Zorko post his bye has got Western Bulldogs at Marvel, and then St Kilda at the Gabba. So 2 big scores could be made up for that 80 on the weekend. So yeah, definitely a big target post his bye. Perfect. That's it from that game. We'll move on to the next game.
All right, Melbourne defeated St Kilda by 38 points in front of 37,000 people at the MCG. So Taj Woden was the sub for Melbourne, who replaced Harrison Petty in the fourth quarter after Petty injured his foot, and then Cooper Sharman replaced Lance Collard in the third quarter.
Yep. So Max Gawn, it's 152 was massive. I'm very frustrated. I wish I didn't hear about that fitness test because he would have been my captain. But anyway, we'll move on. But he was massive once again. Jack Steele won at 122. I didn't get to watch this game. So Tim, did you watch this game at all?
No, mate, I was playing golf today, so I'm lucky I didn't watch this game because it would have been very painful to watch. Max Gawn go 152, and then another player we're going to talk about soon as well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but Jack Steele 122 with the 33 disposals, but also 10 marks, which was also really good to see. So a few people were a little bit concerned with Steele, but a solid, a very good score in that one there. Nasai Wangani Miller at 108 has been solid. Could be a shout as a defender option post. Sort of if you don't have him already, maybe look after his bye. Could be that guy you look at bringing in. Jack Sinclair 98 was solid as well. Another guy to look at in defensive line. Clayton Oliver 85 and Christian Petrarca 85. Just sort of Melbourne's just not scoring well in the midfield, really. So, but Oliver's fine. I still don't mind bringing him if you haven't jumped on him yet, but it's almost getting a little bit late in terms of his buys in a couple of weeks. I think a few of us that know that he's probably not going to be this 110 mid that we know he's going to be. So maybe people are going to look to jump off and bring in a top 8 midfielder at his buy. But we'll have to see. Darcy Wilson, actually, I'll leave Darcy Wilson for a sec. Ryan Marshall with a 63. That is a very, very poor score. I was actually chatting to Bandits of Barbados, which is Baden, who was first overall, brought Marston this week and made him captain. So that's and that's the top coach this year. So brutal. Unbelievable. The top scoring player this year, thinking I'm first overall, I've got to bring in this guy to not miss out on him, and he drops to 63. Saying that though, I'm still looking at bringing him in this week because he's got West Coast, which is a good matchup. So and his break even still 118, so it's not like it's shot up to 150, which is good. And Brad Hill with a 50, that's just a poor score. I just sort of doesn't tick many boxes in terms of forward for me. Too many low scores there. But the 2 players from St Kilda we've probably got to discuss. We'll go a bit positive first with Darcy Wilson. Tim scored an 80. He's performing in line with a lot of these guys. We like to call these premium options, like whatever. What are your thoughts with Darcy Wilson? Is he still a trade? Is round 15 buy? Are you going to reassess? Is he a guy that you're going to trade when? I don't know. What are your thoughts with Darcy Wilson?
Look, I mean, there's no harm in getting off him. His break even is starting to get up there. I mean, he's averaged 80 in his last 3, 86 in his last 5. His break even is now 70, so he's getting close to being topped out in price. But that being said, he's not a priority because you've probably got other people on your field that you might want to get off. I mean, as an example, Bails for you, like if you've got a Jack Macrae and a Darcy Wilson, who are you getting off?
Jack Macrae.
Exactly right. So, I think it's just a matter of what your priorities are in your side. It's certainly not a problem to get off him if that's where you're at in terms of your team development. But yeah, he's probably not. He probably got other things to do at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then the poor score of the day, Riley Bonner, 65.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, again, I don't know. I just think it seemed like St Kilda didn't really get on it, but Nasai Wanganeen Miller and Jack Sinclair were the guys that got a bit more of the ball. It didn't seem like St Kilda were chipping round and getting their sort of plastics game going, which we know is where Bonner can rack up his points. I'm just having a look at the kickings as
Jack
well.
Sinclair play? Did he play more midfield or more halfback?
So Sinclair didn't have any CBA, so it was exclusively halfback. So all three were halfback. Kickings, Bonner still had 6, and Nasai had 8, and then you had Hill and Webster had 1 each. So he's still got the kick-ins. He's got West Coast this week, and you're not looking at jumping off in this week yet, Tim? Is he probably still holding you for another week?
I mean, look, it's not like 60. He hasn't pulled out a 60 before, right? Round 2 against Collingwood, he had a 60. So it's not, it's
only
not...
second score of the year under 80, though, which has been
Yeah, but I kind of feel like he's a little bit susceptible to scores like this occasionally, especially if you've got those 3 players running off the half-back line. It might just come a day where he just doesn't seem to get too much of it. So, once again, he's one of those players that we were always kind of looking to get off. He's break even now. Break even's 95. So look, 95. Yeah, so you certainly could be getting off him. But once again, I'm looking at my side, and I've still got a Darcy Wilson, I've still got a Sam Closey, Jeremy Sharp. I probably wouldn't count him as a rookie anymore, but I'm probably liable to get off a Closey before I'm going to get off a Bonner.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Damon Snell's just put in the chat here. Bonner was moved to the wing after half time, so there you go.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
I still think I'd be holding him this week against
so who
West
is that?
Coast.
Let's give him a shout out for noticing that and
Damon Snell,
because that's really interesting to know. So that's something we might need to watch.
Yeah, I think he's still a hold this week against West Coast, but then I think he's got a Gold Coast the week after, then Brisbane, then he's bye. And next week, sorry, not this week coming, the week after is round 13, where people aren't going to be trading these round 13 bye players. So you're probably looking at trading off of round 14 and 15. It could be a case where maybe Riley Bonner's the guy the following week where you're upgrading him. And if he's in your midfield, you might be able to bring in a Zorko. You might be able to bring in like one of these, like a Tom Green. So it's almost you're going to make money probably going to Tom Green, which is crazy. Riley Bonner, Tom Green. So you might be able to do something like Fisher
grand,
as well.
40 grand.
Yeah, Fisher as well. So there's plenty of guys. I think he's a guy we could trade in round 13 when that comes around as well. Perfect. We'll move on to the final game.
Just one player you didn't shout out from this game, though, was a Christian Salem, 133. Once again, where the hell was those bloody scores when he was in my side earlier this year?
Yeah, he was written there, and I was going to come back to it. But 133. Because I was going to say a few coaches might have jumped on this week with that good matchup, and they were very handsomely rewarded. Could you bring him in now, Tim? He's 639, 47 break even. He's got Freo at Alice Springs, then Collingwood, and then the bye. Would you have had to wanted to get him last week? Do you think?
I just don't trust him. That's the problem.
Yeah,
he was playing that halfback role and still not scoring.
Yeah, you could still bring him in. He's 639. I just think you're probably looking at other guys because you've missed that sugar hit game. You probably want to bring him in for the St Kilda matchup and then go from there. If someone wanted to bring him in, I could talk you out of it, but I'm probably not looking at it now because I missed that St Kilda matchup. So. Yeah, apologies for missing him. But we'll move on to the final game now.
All right, Adelaide defeated West Coast by points in front of 40,000 people at Adelaide Oval.
Was that?
Points, mate. 100. Jesus Christ. Sub Sam Berry replaced Jake Saligo at halftime, and then Tyrell Jewell replaced Alex Witherden at 3/4 time. No injuries that I noted from this game.
Yeah. So Rory Laird was solid, got another ton again. He's just, unfortunately, just a low tons guy this year, and he can pop out a lower score. So we're not looking at him, unfortunately, as an option, which brings a tear to my eye saying that, but it is what it is. Matt Crouch, 98, was solid enough again. So Tim, you'd be happy with another solid score from him there. Liam Duggan with a 90, so just ticking over another solid enough score there. And Jake Saligo was subbed out at halftime for tactical for load management. So that was very interesting. I know, I think Calvin had Saligo. I think a few people out there would have had Saligo thinking good matchup, 2 matchups after this to come, and he gets subbed out on 37. So that's just, again, another typical sort of fantasy bullet that we didn't see coming. But the 2 players here, Harley Reid, 58, Tim. I was getting a few boos at the game as well. You got Dawson a few times. Dawson gave away 3 free kicks in the space of like 2 minutes, which was sending me into an absolute spiral sitting there with Dawson captain. But Harley Reid 58 had a good third quarter to get to that 58. Otherwise, that could have been a 30. What are your thoughts on him? Is there a chance you might look at moving him on this week?
Yeah, certainly on the chopping. Wow. But once again, he's one of those players that I wouldn't mind trying to hold through the buys if I can. So he's on the chopping block, but he's once again not a priority for me. I'll be probably looking at a couple other players.
Yeah. Not for me this week to trade out, just because the same thing. I've got a few other players I want to trade out first. I'd rather trade out Jack McRae, I think, still than Harley Reid, which is saying something. But yeah.
How good are you when you're getting booed in your 11th game, though?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. And I think Mum said during the game, so is anyone going to tag him? And I'm like, I don't think we're going to be tagging 10 game, but that's just the sort of where we are. Harley Mania. And then top scorer of the game, Jordan Dawson, 123, went absolutely bananas in that first quarter. 59. I knew that he was going to cop some attention after that. Had a bad a pretty subpar second quarter. Had a bad third quarter with those 3 free kicks given away, and had a good last quarter to get to the 123. So happy enough with the pretty happy with the captain score. Obviously, it just sucks I changed it from Gorn. Tim, are you looking at Dawson? He's expensive now. He's up at I think I'd looked at it before. He's like 992. Got the Hawks this week, and then Richmond, then Sydney. I guess, are you looking at bringing him in? And then also, I guess that the tag is probably a little bit alleviated because he started on a wing today, went into stoppages, and he went forward when the stoppages, and he played in the CBAs. He went forward.
That's the thing that worries me, right? Like I know you're saying it's good because he gets away from the tag, but the fact that he's playing forward, he's playing wing, all those kind of things. That's actually the thing that worries me a little bit about him. But I mean, we know what kind of a player he is, and he's got only 6 or 7 games now.
Only gone under 100 once since round 2, which was against Carlton with that 60, which was that really bad game. I don't know what happened in that one, but since then he's gone over.
I'm going to park my answer because I know we're going to talk about some trade targets in a minute, right? And I'm curious to look at who you think might be some of the trade targets for this week.
Yeah, exactly. He's gone over 115 in in 5 of his last 6 games. So just showing that consistency, which is great. And the only score under that was against Port Adelaide, tough matchup where he got 100. Yeah. Perfect. Beautiful. That'll wrap us up with the games. So I think before we probably get into questions and stuff like that, which we'll answer a few, but I guess how are you approaching the bye? Round 12 obviously is here, and we've got 3 trades, best 18, a few players on bye. How are you looking at approaching this week?
Yeah, look, I'm feeling pretty confident about my buys so far. I mean, I've got a very, very healthy bench, particularly now with Riley Sanders coming back, although I have got Blake Howes as a red dot. And I do have 6 players on buy this week, but that still allowed me to field 22. So, I'm pretty well spread across the buys, even 13 and 14. I'm not under too much pressure. I've still got a lot of trades to go before then. So, look, I mean, I think it's the way the buys are laid out. They're a bit easier to navigate nowadays, but I mean, you still need to have your attention on them. And, I've had my attention on them now since before probably the early buys and just been kind of letting my 50-50 trade decisions kind of be, dictated by my buys and it's meant that I'm looking pretty sweet. What about you, Buzz? How's your buys looking?
Not too bad. I've got 4 players on the buy this week with Powell, Heaney, Goulden, and Whitfield. But then obviously a few of these guys that I don't know if they're going to be there. So like Zach Reed's been decent in the VFL for a few weeks now. Does he come back in? If he doesn't, that's obviously another one. So that'd be 5. Will Graham, there's a chance he comes back, but if he doesn't, that'd be 6. Jai Clark won't be there. 7, Barnett 8. And then you've got a Garcia potentially who might not be there as well. So 9. So I'll get to 22 this week because a Graham will go if he's not named. A Garcia will go if he's not named. This is just a hard week in terms of upgrades because I think the only players you can really target as upgrades are guys from round 13 if you can fit someone in there, or in a case like mine, if you've got a suite. I still don't hate the idea of going up to a Marshall this week. Got West Coast. It's going to take 2 downgrades to get there, but I just want to fix this Ruck, this Jordan Sweet Ruck. I don't want him there. There's a chance. I think I read somewhere a few days ago.
Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I did, and Cherry just outbullied him the whole game.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. What's his matchup? He's got Carlton next, right?
He's got Carlton, but I read a couple of days ago as well that someone, I don't know who said it, someone from Port said there's a real possibility that Soldo's back, which would surprise me again, playing on a Thursday night, then the bye, but they might bring him back thinking that he's their best ruckman and Sweet might be dropped. So I need to fix that this week, and I think I'm still happy to get Marshall. I'd still rather have Gorn. I'm paying a premium, but I think Ruck's at that position where you almost have to pay that premium because the top three are there and they're expensive for a reason. So, yeah, it's a tricky week for trades, but I think a lot of coaches as well out there, if they've got a Cherry Ruck, they might even just go 3 rookie fix-ups. That's probably going to be a pretty popular strategy if you don't have a Richards, a McCall, a Fraser. There's probably a couple other rookies I can't even name off the top of the head, but they're probably the main 3. So yeah, beautiful. Do you want to get into some questions, Tim?
Sure, mate. Go for it.
Perfect. Alrighty, so we'll go to a couple here. Baxter's got this one. Got English and Marshall. We'll need to trade one in round 15 to bring in Gorn. Who goes? We were saying that before, Baxter. No idea. Probably English if I had to pick one, but you reassess that.
Would you really trade one of them out?
Maybe to get a Ruck playing and Gorn. So if you're in a luxury position, that's probably one you assess at round 15, I think, Baxter, for that one. Haytham Fooder. Do I stick with McRae?
Yes, that's my call. Yes, to his buy.
Are you an owner, Tim?
No. Which is why I can say
it. If you can facilitate a move to trade him out, I would. He's a guy I'm looking at trading this week because I've only got 4 on buy. So
only if he's your. I think you got bigger priorities. I think you got rookies that are bigger priorities than a McRae, but maybe you don't. So look, I would tick off if you haven't got, maybe if you already got rid of the Clancy, right? If you've only got like a Sharp and a Wilson on field, then yeah, I'd probably leave Sharp and Wilson on field and get rid of McRae, right?
Yeah. Power Prawn Star. I hate this game. When's lockout lifting? Well, the good thing is it has lifted, but a lot of people do hate this game as well. So
this year, it's not as much fun this year.
No, it's even like I'm going well, but it's still frustrating. There's still things that are still frustrating for me. So
it has been a very challenging year.
Yeah. So I guess that's what people love about the game, and sometimes really hate the game. Tony, a shout out to Tony Ford, actually. Obviously, I messaged him a fair bit on the messenger there. He scored 23.71 this week, ranked 28th for the round, went from 32.68 to 12.56. So, obviously, great week. But just showing, again, still make big moves. And the buys is where we've known Selby's talked about it. Holmes has talked about it. Top like Stato, Harmy, all these coaches that have finished top 10, top 100 multiple times have said that the buys is where you can make ground up. And I think because the early buys, I think the field in terms of top 10K has been condensed probably close to what it normally is at this point. Do you think there's probably scope for even more movement during these buys?
Yeah, I would. Well, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I'm not. Yeah, look, I think it's a very close year, and so being that it's a close year, I think there's the opportunity to move up further than what we've seen before.
Yeah, exactly. Josh LaRossi says get rid of McRae, Fife, and Reed. So obviously we talk about McRae. You could potentially trade. Is Fife a trade for you? Got like a 47 or something on the weekend.
Probably, yeah.
But
once again, when you wait till his buy, he's got one more week till his buy. Well, depending on, I guess, how many you got playing.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. And then Harley Reid, is he a guy you tick off as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably time to get off him as well.
Yeah, he does have St Kilda though, so you might want to hold one more week. But yeah, again, I think I've heard,
and then North, and then his buy.
Yeah,
look, once again, I think he's one of those players. If you can hold him, if you can hold him to his buy, you probably want to do that.
Yeah,
but once again, I mean, we got to also be asking ourselves: is he really going to be scoring enough to be counted in our top 18 anyway?
I actually think next couple of weeks he might actually score right. We've seen in easier midfield. We've seen in easy midfield matchups he actually goes quite well. So, I think there's probably other guys you probably trade around him. But again, if that's the upgrade you need to get to a guy that you want, I think you can trade. And then Ben Hayes was saying about Dempsey as well. I think Dempsey's a hold this week against Richmond. If you can, again, trade out a Graham or a Hugo Garcia or someone instead. But again, probably the same thing, even more so with Dempsey. I'll be happy to trade him out. He's been pretty poor of late. What do we got here? A lot of plus threes, negative threes. Appreciate everyone leaving their plus threes, negative threes in the chat here as well. Is it time for Saligo to go, says Damon? He's got two great matchups, Tim, Hawthorn and Richmond, but obviously with that sub out, 37, his break even stopped. He's now...
Who are you going to go
priced... Will Day. Same buy.
Yeah, sorry.
Do that trade?
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
that's a good idea. It's a good shout.
I think you have to. I was thinking I want to always break even, but his break even is now up to 123. He dropped 39k this week. I know he's got two good matchups, but I think you have to trade. I think that Will Day, even a crispy chippy could be a guy that you look at. He's 787, so you need a little bit more cash to do it. But a break in of 53, him or Day. I think Day's probably the one that a lot of Saligo owners will probably look to this week. Power Prawn Star, this is a good one probably for you, Tim. Sorry to say, but he said, do I bother chasing Gawn now or just stick fat with English and hope he goes nuts post-buy? So what are you doing as a non-Gawn owner? Are you targeting him
post? So what was the deal with the fitness test?
Calf, he had a bit of a calf thing. I think calf soreness. It wasn't tightness, soreness. He's had that calf strap for a couple of weeks now. So it's probably more to do with that. So
here's my answer. God knows you shouldn't ask me, but I'm fading. Like, I'm just crossing my fingers now and hoping that he gets injured. Like I said, I thought he was starting to fatigue a bit. The fitness test. I mean, once again, I wasn't able to get too many details today, but it gave me I don't know, made me think maybe I'm right, but like I said, who freaking knows when it comes to Gawn? I'm just not seeing it right when it comes to him this year. But for me, I'm closing my eyes, crossing my fingers, and hoping for the best.
Yeah, exactly. It was as you said, he thought he was going to go a bit quieter, then bang, all of a sudden, massive score, top score of the season. Could you please recommend some rookie downgrades as I would have Fraser and Richard, says Chris. I think McCall is probably the one you're looking at. You're looking at there. I'm just going to the cheaper players now.
So it's got to be McCall and Freyr are the two cheapest. Well, not on buys. Then you got Harvey Harrison as the next one with a break even of 7 at 289.
Yeah, he's not been too. He's played pretty well. If Charlie Dean holds his spot, he's not going to score well, but if you need a downgrade, he might stay in the team for a few weeks. I think Sullivan might be too expensive now at 362. You're probably looking at other options there. A bit of a cheeky one, actually, at 372. Could be a David Swallow, but do you really want to pay up for David Swallow? I'm not sure. Maybe that... Lloyd Johnson, he's 369. It's funny because a few of these rookies now are a bit expensive, so you probably don't want to pay 360, but we might have to. If there's no other options, you might have to. So,
well, I mean, I was even thinking about what you said before about Charlie Dean, right? But once again, what's the freaking point bringing him in? Like, he's going to score 40s. He's not even going to count. You might as well bring in a red dot.
Yeah, you might as well. Exactly. Apparently, Zach said here, Dawson said he wanted to play more forward time, wants to be like Heaney in an interview after today's game. Well, he's been playing, I think, more forward for most of the year anyway. I don't think he's going to play deep forward like he did, I think it was against Carlton. And Heaney's a midfielder that drifts forward. So I think that's what Dawson probably means by that. But interesting to note if that is the case there. It's Edge says, is Boak an option? So, Tim, he got mid-forward status, Travis Boak. He's priced at 6, 7, 8, 115 this past week. He's gone 78, 75, 90, 107, 115 the last few weeks. Obviously noted Rosie hasn't been there. I don't know if Boak's had sort of CBAs or anything like that, but is Boak someone that you would entertain as a forward option or not interested?
So pretty much he scored 70s throughout the year until Connor Rosie was out. He scored a 90, a 107 and a 115. So
he didn't have any CBAs as well.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence that he's going to be able to maintain that kind of level of scoring now that Rosie's back.
Yeah. I don't think I could trust. I think there is other options.
Bit Olive as well.
Yeah. Brendan said, just tuned in. Marshall's still on your plans, Bales. Yes, he is. Yep. I know he put a bad score up, but hopefully that means he's more revved up to put a good score up next week.
Who's he playing next week, mate?
West Coast, yeah, exactly. So he's got 2 tough matchups after that, though, against Gold Coast and Brisbane. But I still think Marshall is. I know he got a 6, so it's a bit hard to say he's fixture proof, but I still think he normally is. It was just a tough one today. We've got a couple last questions here, and then we'll wrap up. Wayne Tuapo, is Sheasel time to go? No, I don't think so. I'd be holding. Well, Tim, you're an owner. Obviously, you've seen last couple of weeks back-to-back tons, a bit more mid. You're pretty comfortable holding Sheasel now?
I'm comfortable holding him, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
I would agree. Luke Woods, is this the week to triple downgrade on your bench to get as many playing and cash gen possible? Thinking of avoiding any primos this week purely because you're trading a goal with a buy-in. What are your thoughts on that, Tim?
So just ask me the question once again, right? Just so I make sure I'm thinking about it right.
Yeah, the triple downgrade to obviously get numbers playing in cash gen. Looking at avoiding potentially primos because of the upcoming buys. I guess round 13 is probably the buy you can target.
Yeah, I don't know about this thinking, right? So right now, every single player has still got to have a buy.
Yeah.
So effectively, you can bring in anyone, and there's no disadvantage.
Yeah, because you're going to miss anyway.
So the other thing I'd think about is that triple downgrading this week, there's not really 3 options, right?
You probably jumped on one of them last week, so you probably got 2 at most.
Yeah, you're going to be disadvantaging yourself if you do a triple downgrade this week, right? Look, it is a week that you could look at it. It's, potentially one of the least damaging weeks to do it. But, the simple fact of the matter is that you can still do 2 down, 1 up. And that's what you should be doing, I think, this week. 2 down, 1 up, bring in another primo. Regardless of who you bring in, every primo is going to have a buy between now and the end of the year anyway. So there's no disadvantage. So that's how I'd be thinking about it.
If people got cash in the bank, I still don't mind getting in a Luke Ryan, Caleb Sarong, Dak Butters. Probably not Brayshaw. He hasn't done enough for me this year, but like Dan Houston, I don't hate. I personally wouldn't, but people might be keen. Like Jordan Clark, back-to-back big scores. You could realistically go him. He's averaging 96. Like Rosie, you're probably waiting because he's got a 158 break even. He's going down in price. I guess that's where people are maybe looking at a bloke, right? He's got the good buy. Maybe just gets you through the buys and you trade him after, just make a bit of cash. That might be why. But I think I'd be happy to trade around a 13 buy player because there are only 2 teams on the buy anyway, and you probably like it. Most people are light in that buy. So I think you can still go 2 down and 1 up to that player. But if you're sort of what are your thoughts about bringing in a Fisher this week? Could you bring in a player on their buy this week if you've got enough playing?
So from I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but from a maths point of view, you could. What you're exposing yourself, though, is you don't know what could happen in the next week. Like, what happens if Zach Fisher gets injured at training? What happens if he gets COVID?
We didn't expect Sanders to miss. We didn't expect Sweet to miss.
Exactly, right? So you could be bringing in someone that might not be playing next week. Now, the chances are probably pretty low, but I just don't think it's a smart move.
Yeah. And NA's put a really, really good point in here as well. And this is probably where we'll finish up as well, because the last couple of questions here are sort of ones we've looked at. But he said a mid-season drafts available for team selection this round could be a watch, and they will be, because the mid-season draft, I believe, is on Tuesday or Wednesday. And teams that, again, like maybe a Richmond, we might see some of these players playing straight away. So I don't think any of them are going to play this week. I think we saw a Newcomb play the week he got drafted, but not many do. I think we could see a couple the week after, which is why maybe you don't triple downgrade this week, try and get an upgrade, because then next week you go 2 down, 1 up, because we might have some more rookies. We might have an Ari Schoenmaker with St Kilda losing a few in a row now. Maybe they want to bring him. I think he had concussion, played on the weekend as well. So maybe that's something there. Something to look at. But very good point, NA, there with the mid-season draft, because that probably hasn't been spoken about as well. So beautiful, Tim. I think we'll wrap up there.
Awesome. All right. Well, Bails, I guess before we kind of get stuck into the outro, like, is there anything that you want to let people know about?
Obviously Q&A on Tuesday. I will be doing. You've probably
stuff.
heard Mitch. You've probably heard Mitch saying a bit of it as well. But that Ask Me on Q. I'll be starting that probably up tomorrow as well. So I'll put the link in on this video and all my other videos and stuff and podcasts moving forward. But if people want to ask me a question on there, I think it's a small fee and whatever to help support sort of the channel and stuff like that. But and if people don't want it, that's fine. We'll still answer your questions on the thing. But
and
if
it's
you want
really
more
good
of
for specific questions, right? Like,
yeah,
if people
team
want to ask
dependent
you, like,
questions,
team dependent stuff. Yeah, if they want to send you a picture of their team, you can, that kind of stuff, right? Really in-depth questions you can get a specific answer for.
Yeah, and I can actually give a more in-depth answer. If people want to do that, I'll be putting that out as well, probably starting tomorrow. So yeah, make sure you keen to tune into that, and obviously all the other content I know and release throughout the week.
All right, mate. What are your early trade plans?
Well, obviously the Marshall Paul score sort of put that into a bit of a. Not sure if I want to bring Marshall in, but I still think I'll go get Marshall. It'll be 2 guys down. I'll bring in Fraser and Kane McAuliffe, and I'll go probably a Jordan Sweet up to what's his name? Ryan Marshall. I was just saying his name there before. So I'll probably look at doing that. And they're my trade plans at the moment. Tim, yourself?
Yeah, I might look at doing something similar, like a Closey out, maybe a Dempsey out or something like that, and then going maybe a Sweet up to a Marshall or something along those lines.
Yeah, cool. Beautiful.
All right. Fantastic. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and special thanks for those who joined us live. In particular, thanks to those who sent their questions in to get answered as well. Now, please follow, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review wherever you are joining us. And don't forget to tune in live each week on X or YouTube, whether it's after the final siren of the round for our round reviews, whether it's Tuesday night for our Q&As, whether it's Friday afternoons for our pre-lockout chat. Guys, raid straight away. Best luck with your research, and we will see you all next time. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.
See ya.